Love, the most powerful emotion in the world. Love is an emotion that touches us all. It's the invisible thread that ties people together, forming deep bonds and connections. When love is right, it has the power to elevate you to the highest of highs. But, like a coin, love has two sides. If you're not careful, it can leave you feeling broken, disappointed, and drained, especially when you give it to the wrong person. This kind of love can become like a double-edged sword, slicing through your sense of self-worth. You pour your heart into someone, but if they don't respect or appreciate your love, it can shatter your world. That's when love starts to feel more like an addiction. You start craving more of their affection, chasing them with even greater intensity, hoping for validation. But the more you chase, the more you lose yourself, your dignity, your self-respect, and your happiness. You might find yourself constantly giving and receiving nothing in return. You may love them from the core of your heart, but they respond with neglect, insults, or by making you feel invisible. But here's the raw, brutal truth. You don't have to remain trapped in this cycle. You can regain control, flip the dynamics, and become the person they chase instead. In this video, I'm going to share 7 hard-hitting psychological strategies that will change the game, so they'll start craving your attention instead. Rule 1. Stop giving your attention away. So easily, your attention is like currency, and it has immense value, but when you give it away freely and to anyone, its value diminishes. It's important to realize that your time, energy, and focus are limited resources, and not everyone deserves access to them. Imagine if you gave away all your money without thought. Soon enough, you'd be broke. The same applies to your attention. Let's consider an example. You're always available for someone, answering their texts instantly, dropping everything to be with them, prioritizing their needs over your own. What happens over time? They start taking you for granted. You've become predictable, always there, always available, and in their eyes, less special. The key here is to stop making yourself so accessible. Pull back a little. Don't be at their beck and call. Let them feel your absence. When you're not always there, they'll start to notice. Your attention should feel like a reward, not something they expect on demand. By stepping back, you create mystery and value, and people naturally want what they can't have. Rule 2. Stop over-investing in the relationship. Relationships are partnerships, not solo projects. And yet, too many of us fall into the trap of over-investing, doing all the work, making all the plans, and putting in all the effort to keep things going. This one-sided dynamic isn't just exhausting, it's also unhealthy. If you're always the one doing everything, the other person will get complacent. They'll take your effort for granted, and worse, they might not feel the need to reciprocate. Take a moment to think about your current relationship or a past one. Were you the one always initiating conversations, planning dates, and keeping things alive? How did that make you feel? Drained, unappreciated, and maybe even a little resentful, right? It's time to stop pouring all of your energy into someone who isn't doing the same for you. Relationships are a two-way street. You both should be investing equally. If you pull back a little, you'll see whether they step up to the plate. Let them make an effort to keep the relationship going. This isn't about playing games, it's about building a balanced, healthy relationship where both partners contribute. When the effort is mutual, the connection grows stronger, and you'll feel valued and respected. Rule 3. Show them you don't need them. One of the most empowering moves you can make in any relationship is to show that you don't need them to be happy. We often confuse wanting someone with needing them, and that's where things can get messy. When you start depending on someone else for your happiness, you're giving them too much control over your emotions. But here's the reality. You are enough. You don't need anyone else to complete you. Happiness comes from within, not from external sources. When you live your life in a way that shows you're content with or without them, you become incredibly attractive. Independence is magnetic because it shows confidence, strength, and self-assurance. You're not there out of neediness. You're there because you choose to be, not because you have to be. Let's break this down with a simple example. Think about a person who is constantly clinging to their partner, needing reassurance, validation, and attention. After a while, that neediness becomes a burden. Now contrast that with someone who's confident, happy on their own, and doesn't rely on their partner for emotional stability. Which person seems more appealing? The second one, right? That's the power of independence. When you're independent, you're not just another option. You're a choice that they actively want to make. You're showing them that your happiness doesn't depend on them, and that's incredibly powerful. Rule 4. Stop being emotionally dependent. Emotional dependence can cripple a relationship. If you constantly rely on someone else to manage your emotions or make you feel better, you're handing them control over your mental well-being. While it's natural to lean on your partner for support sometimes, you need to be your own emotional anchor most of the time. Let's put it this way. Imagine you're in a boat and your partner is your anchor. Every time there's a storm, you rely on them to keep you steady. But what happens if that anchor fails or isn't there? You're left drifting, lost. Instead, you need to be your own anchor, able to stay grounded and manage your emotions independently. This doesn't mean shutting people out or refusing help when you need it. It means not putting all your emotional stability in someone else's hands. When you handle your feelings on your own, it shows incredible strength. It shows resilience. People respect that kind of emotional self-reliance because it demonstrates maturity and control. Once you stop being emotionally dependent, they will start to see you in a new light. You become more than just a partner. You become someone they admire, someone who can stand strong on their own. Rule 5. Be ready to walk away if you're not valued. This is one of the toughest rules, but it's also one of the most important. You need to set boundaries and standards for how you expect to be treated, and you need to be willing to walk away if those standards aren't met. If someone makes you feel unimportant, like an option instead of a priority, it's time to let go. Let me clarify. This isn't about being harsh or unreasonable. It's about recognizing your self-worth and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. Too often, people stay in relationships where they're treated poorly because they fear being alone. But what's worse, being alone or being in a relationship where you feel invisible and undervalued? The moment you show that you're ready to leave if your needs aren't being met, you command respect. You demonstrate that you know your worth and won't tolerate disrespect. This kind of strength not only earns respect, but also shifts the power dynamic. You're no longer someone who can be taken lightly. You've set a standard, and if they can't meet it, you're prepared to walk away. Rule 6. Stop seeking validation from others. Here's a hard truth. Your worth is not defined by what others think of you. Too many times, we seek validation and approval from our partners, friends, or even strangers, when the only validation that truly matters comes from within. You are enough, exactly as you are, and you don't need someone else's approval to prove that. Think about all the times you've looked for someone to give you a nod of approval, to tell you that you're doing great or that you're good enough. It's time to stop waiting for that validation. You need to be confident in who you are, in your decisions, and in your worth, without needing anyone else's stamp of approval. When you stop seeking validation, you take back your power. You become self-assured, and others will notice. They'll see that you're not constantly looking for reassurance or hanging on their every word. You become someone they respect because you're confident in yourself. Rule 7. Don't always show how much you care. This might seem counterintuitive, but showing all of your love and care right away can backfire. When you reveal everything about how deeply you care, people may start taking you for granted. They stop seeing your love as something special because it's given too easily. Think of it like a mystery novel. If the author tells you everything in the first chapter, there's no reason to keep reading. Similarly, if you show all your love up front, there's no intrigue, no excitement, no reason for them to chase after you. Instead, hold back a little. Let them work to earn your affection. This doesn't mean being cold or distant. It means allowing them to put in effort to win your love. When they have to work for it, they value it more. Keep them curious, and they'll start to see you as someone worth fighting for. So, what's the takeaway here? Love is an incredible emotion, but only when it's balanced, healthy, and mutual. Don't let yourself fall into the trap of over-investing, over-giving, or relying on someone else for your happiness. Take back control, set your boundaries, and let them see your worth. Here's a challenge for you. Comment below. I will be the person who creates my own happiness and doesn't seek validation from others. Own your power and reclaim your happiness. If you want more unfiltered, straightforward advice like this, make sure you hit the subscribe button and stay tuned. You're about to become unstoppable.